Well, you've got barking dogs and I've got construction. So we'll see how that works out for us. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
No complaints.
Good.
Pretty great. Pretty great. Well, we are very happy to be talking to you today. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Fantastic. Well, it is very much our pleasure, especially after seeing the Teen Wolf movie. So
Yes.
we were luckily we were at the premiere and we saw the film and we were like, well, who do we have to talk to? We were like, okay, well, Amy Workman. And it was like we need to talk to all these people about this movie. So awesome. Well, fantastic. And thank you again for being here. I'm Will Wallace, and these are my fantastic co-hosts, Kate Colvin and Calissa Mullis.
Nice to meet you guys.
Hi.
Fantastic to meet you.
Calissa, I love your hair, by the way. That's a very cool color.
Thank you. I just did it last night.
Oh, heck yeah.
It looks wonderful. Every time we get on to record something, it's a different color. And I have to ask myself if I'm crazy or if
My entire goal is to make Will think he's crazy.
8 years of friendship.
Yep.
Well done. Well done. So there we go.
Long con.
Yes, long con. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so on Instagram, I saw you dressed as Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a perfect show. And there's no fighting anyone on that. How did you get into cosplaying?
Well, I had always been super into Halloween as a kid. I always liked to make these like overly elaborate costumes. And I've been, I like to work with my hands and get really like crafty with stuff. And I don't think I realized cosplay was really like an option. And then I moved to Los Angeles where there's like conventions all the time and like Comic-Con and everything. I saw Avatar: The Last Airbender while I was there, and I was like, I need to be Azula just all the time, anytime. I'm like, I'm going to be Azula for Halloween next year. And then I realized that it doesn't have to be Halloween and I can just do that whenever I want. And it just kind of snowballed from there. But Azula was actually like the very first cosplay that I made. So it's really funny that you bring that one up specifically.
That is
Wow.
awesome. That is fantastic. And it was a wonderful costume. Quickly, because this is not an Avatar podcast, but why Azula? Because she is a villain and all that. But of course, villains are fun, I guess. But why
Good
Azula?
villain though.
Yes.
Like she's absolutely unhinged at the end, but the arc of her like going insane is so good, and she's powerful and has like the best one-liners. I think she's just rad. Plus her costume is just cool, and I like a cool suit.
Fantastic.
How did you get into acting?
You know what? I'm the second child in my family, and I was always one of those kids who's like, whatever my older sister is doing, I also need to be doing. So she got into community theater, and then I was like, I need to get into theater now. And then I think at a certain point, I wanted to be a director or an editor. And my mom was like, if you want to be a director, you need to know what it's like to be an actor so that you can, direct actors and know what it's like on the other side of the camera. And so she like forced me to go to this like open call audition thing for an acting showcase. And I did it, fell in love with it. And, that's the showcase manager. And she, set me on this whole path of. So I really just fell into it accidentally. But I think a large part of it is just because I copied whatever my older sister was doing.
Good enough
Fair
reason
enough.
for me. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So then how did Teen Wolf come into your life?
I didn't super follow the show when it was on, but I did know it was this huge thing. It was actually a really fast, really sudden process being cast in the movie. I got the audition email and it was like Teen Wolf the movie, and I was like, didn't Teen Wolf end like 5 years ago? Are they still doing it? And so I like rapidly Googled and I was like, oh, Teen Wolf is making a movie. Okay, cool. I have to be in it. I did the audition. I did not a callback, but a second audition where I just sent in another tape.
Okay.
And this was in the span of like a week, I think, maybe 2, and got the call. I was living in New Zealand at the time and got the call. They were like, we want you to be in the Teen Wolf movie. We're going to be shooting in Los Angeles. Can you make it back to LA in time for that? And I was like, if you're giving me a job, I will come to whatever country you need me in. So in this, I think it was the span of like 3 weeks between auditioning and being in Los Angeles to shoot the movie. So it was crazy whirlwind.
That's fantastic. That is,
I think
just fantastic.
Vince Mattis told us that like the day after they confirmed he got the role, he had to get on a plane.
Yes. Yeah. He got cast even later than I did. Because I remember talking to him when we were doing the screen tests, and he was like, oh, yeah, they just cast me like 2 days ago. And I was like, sweet kid. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He was lovely to talk to.
Yeah. We had a great time with him. Yeah.
Awesome.
So what were your first impressions of your other cast members?
Mostly just terror, fear in me. No, I actually made a really terrible first impression on Tyler Posey because he was the first person I saw on set, and I parked in the wrong place. And then the base camp PA was like, actually, we have like parking spots for you up here. So I got back in my car and went through base camp to park where I thought she told me to park. It was the wrong place. And so she was like, that's not where you're supposed to park. And Tyler Posey is watching this entire thing. I like park in the wrong place again. And she's like, that's not where you need to go. So I'm like slowly making my way through the soundstage parking lot. And Tyler Posey is like directing me like an airplane, like these are the parking spots that you're allowed in. And that was the first impression I made of anyone on set. But no, everybody is really the sweetest. And I think it's such a common thing in TV that like first on the call sheet sets the tone, right? And that's absolutely true because Tyler Posey is such a joy to work with, and he makes everybody feel so welcome. And everyone on set is so professional in that, you know, they've been working on this set and with each other for so many years that it flows really naturally, and they're really good at making sure that everybody who's new understands what's going on. And obviously Dylan Sprayberry, who plays Liam, so we're love interests in the film, was really welcoming to me, especially because we had so many scenes together and we were like, we have to get along if this is going to work.
There you go. Very nice.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
So you said you didn't watch the show before you got that email. How much did you know about Teen Wolf before you were in it?
Peripherally, a fair amount, because I grew up in fandom spaces and Teen Wolf is all over Tumblr. So
Yes.
I knew ended up online. But also like I had done acting classes, and one of the fairly common things in acting classes is for your teacher to be like, go and watch a show that is like your typecast and acting style and something that you might be fairly likely to audition for, and study that acting style so you can kind of like ingrain that and what it might be like into your acting and your body and everything. And I had watched multiple scenes from Teen Wolf being like, this is a show that is, you know, kind of in my wheelhouse. That's something I might go out for. And like studied everybody's acting, which is really funny because now they're my coworkers and I act with them. So I guess I was right.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, clearly.
Correct.
That's so cool.
Yeah, no, that's so awesome.
Full circle moment. Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Teen Wolf fans can be really passionate, as you said. It's all over Tumblr. Have you had any fun fan encounters you'd like to share with us?
I have a funny one. Well, first of all, at New York Comic Con, they figured out what hotel we were staying at. And so it was like such a surreal moment to walk out of the hotel and have everyone there. It was very surreal to walk out of the hotel and have everyone there like asking for photos. But one of my favorite ones, which is just funny to me, is when the news dropped that Hikari was Liam's, you know, love interest or girlfriend in the movie. The Theum shippers were not too pleased. You know, Theo and Liam is a very popular ship, and I fully support shipping who you want to ship and liking certain pairings. But I think a lot of people don't understand that as actors, we don't control that, and we just what's on the page. So it was really, really funny because I got a lot of DMs of people being like, "You've broken my heart. Theum is dead. How could you do this to the fans?" And one person sent me 12 fan edits of like Theo and Liam together, like different video edits, and then a picture of Nick Fury, and then a message that said, "Oh, the wrong picture, and then like 4 more Theum video edits.
Okay. All right.
It's amazing.
Funniest experience. And then they come back and they're like, "You've broken my heart. The fans are distraught. You've ruined Thea." Which I understand, being upset that your ship isn't canon, but the Nick Fury in the middle of all this.
That's what really sells it.
When you said that, I totally thought it was going to be like the meme where he says, "I recognize that the council's made a decision, but given that it's a stupid ass decision, I've elected to ignore it." And I was
that would
like,
have been funny. It's funnier to me that it was an accident.
That's even better.
No, it's so great that you're just getting, "I'm mad at you. I'm so mad at you. I'm so sorry I sent you that picture, but I am still mad at you." So yeah, that's wonderful.
Sandwiched
Just
in
wonderful.
the middle.
Just wonderful.
I know that when the Veronica Mars movie was happening, the guy who played Veronica's boyfriend after the one that everyone wanted her to be with, he just started wearing Logan Veronica t-shirts to every fan event. And I think it might have actually helped. So
that's a great idea. I should do that.
That's my pitch. That's my fandom pro tip for you. If you want to just
maybe I should just wear a mask of his face.
Exactly. Yeah. We as the podcast will send that to you, and
Absolutely.
You'll be covered for all future fan events.
Perfect.
Yeah. At the very least, a shirt that just says Theum for life. So
yeah.
There you go. How did you get into martial arts?
Well, I'm a little bit trained in wushu, but I think you might be thinking of like the screen combat that I do.
Yeah.
Which is more just training for like being in movies specifically.
Okay.
That was always something. I grew up as like a dancer. I was a rhythmic gymnast. But I always loved watching the behind the scenes in movies. And I was always fascinated when they were filming stunt scenes and doing the wire work and the combat and everything. So there was a period of time where I was like, I would rather be a stunt person than an actor. And I got into stage combat, working with swords a lot. I realized I loved doing swords. And then during the time where I was living in New Zealand, I found a really good screen combat school that I love. So started training a lot with like medieval weaponry, shields and katanas and broadswords and everything. And it just really worked out that, Hikari has a katana in the movie, so I got to use some of those skills. But I do think the small amount of wushu training that I had, which is the martial arts that I did, definitely helps with that, just in terms of technique and coordination. But I would say I'm better with swords than proper martial arts.
Nice. Still very cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's really, really
That's
awesome.
very cool. Yeah.
Do you have any fun memories from the set that you'd like to share?
I have so many. I have to think of which one's the funnest to share. Oh, okay. The stunt team on Teen Wolf the movie. Do you guys know those like hoverboards, but it's just like one big wheel and then the feet go on either side of it? So like for some reason, every member of the stunt team had one of those. And when we were filming that big final battle scene in the Nogitsu world, illusion world, we were out in this like big open field with really tall grass. And we were doing night shoots, so it was like 4 a.m. But all of the stunt guys are dressed as the Oni, and all of them have those hoverboard things, and they would ride it through the field. And the grass was so tall that you couldn't see the hoverboard. So it would just be like a herd of like 6 Oni just like drifting through the field at 4 a.m. And it's like so foggy and everyone is so sleep deprived. It was like hallucinating. They just like slide through the grass in like a group at a time.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
A wild visual. I thought that I had like fallen asleep and was imagining it.
Fantastic.
So because there's so much story packed into the Teen Wolf movie, we don't get a lot of time for exposition and backstory, which is especially difficult when it comes to a new character like Hikari. Did you discuss the character with Jeff at all, or did you have any personal theories about her backstory before the events of the movie?
Yeah, definitely. I had a lot of questions. Obviously, as a new character, I want to know as much as I can before I get into it. I didn't get to talk to Jeff so much. I think I got to ask him one question. I caught him at a good moment. which was to me one of the most important ones. And I got to ask him what kind of kitsune Hikari was, because I don't think that was decided when we first started shooting. And I sort of got to chat to him about it, and we decided together that Hikari is a fire kitsune. But in terms of backstory, it was mostly me talking to the other actors and coming up with backstory myself. I think there was one line in the script that didn't make it into the film, but there's a line where Hikari says, like, I've dealt with a Nogitsune before. And that to me was so interesting and so juicy, because she's really not new to this stuff. You know, she's maybe new to Beacon Hills, but she has been a kitsune her whole life, and clearly she knows about it and can control it. So I really like the idea that she comes from this like long lineage of kitsune who, you know, maybe are charged with protecting their part of the world from evil forces like the Nogitsune. Oh, also her name Hikari Zhang is a Japanese first name, Chinese last name, which is not a mistake. That's intentional because Hikari is part Chinese. So a lot of us on set were just like talking, you know, and trying to flesh things out. And I believe what we like to theorize is that her dad is Chinese, her mom is a kitsune, and pretty much everyone in her family has been a kitsune. And then we like made up this brother that she has, who's like the first one in their family who's not a kitsune, and he's like bitter about it. It's not relevant to the movie at all, but it helps me to like know this sort of family dynamic that she comes from. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
absolutely it does.
Yeah, I love to hear actors like backstories on their characters that we don't get on screen. I think that's really, really cool.
It's
yeah. Now I'm imagining Hikari having a younger brother who's like, she's a kitsune, I'm gonna be a kitsune.
Yeah, we were like, he's younger and he's like angry all the time because he doesn't have power.
Oh, that's it. I like that. That's
good.
Me
too. That would be a lot of fun.
Potential.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
So you mentioned a line that didn't make it into the final that didn't make it into the final film. Were there any other like scenes that you shot that you didn't see in the final version of the film?
I don't think any of my full scenes got cut, but there were definitely lines in every scene that didn't quite make it in. One of my favorites was as Liam and Hikari leave the police station, Lydia said, if you go out there in the night alone, then the Oni are going to find you first. And Liam has this line, which was, then they're going to find a werewolf and a kitsune ready for a fight. And I loved that line.
It's
so
a good one.
much.
That's a really good one.
Yeah,
didn't make it in, but I was a big fan. Also, there's a stunt. There was like a fight scene with me and Shelley Hennig and Dylan Sprayberry that was like so cool, and it was my idea. I like asked them to let me do this stunt, and it was so fun, but it didn't make it in the movie. But it's like in that final battle scene where we're all fighting the Nogitsune, Shelley like slides my sword across the ground, and I like do a front walk over flip and like pick it up and then kill the guy that she's been fighting. And in the back, Dylan Sprayberry is like tackling an Oni to the ground. It was such a cool shot. I'm so sad I didn't get to see it.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll ever release any of the stuff that's been cut. That would be really cool.
That would be really awesome.
I gotta ask them. I gotta go and beg. Like, can I please have the footage just for me?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet you could totally. If you just talk to Ed Abrams or Greg Cusimano, the editors, they'll send you a Dropbox file or something. Like, here's your shot. So yeah, totally. They're great guys.
I'll track it down.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does.
So, you know, you talked about talking with other actors about backstories. Did you and Dylan Sprayberry talk about how you thought that Liam and Hikari came to be together?
We did. We talked about that a lot, actually. We like the idea that they did not like each other at first, and they were like forced to work together. And tying in with Hikari's whole, you know, kitsune lineage and protecting her people from forces like the Nogitsune, we really like the idea that Liam came to Japan with the Nogitsune jar, being tasked with protecting it and making sure no one gets their hands on it. And Hikari's family was like, who is this white man who is protecting this Japanese spirit? We know about this. We are kitsune, so we should be the ones protecting it. And that Liam and Hikari were kind of forced to work together to, you know, make sure that it didn't fall into the wrong hands. And, you know, ended up spending a lot of time together and just slowly growing to like each other and hating to admit it. Slowly falling in love, and the whole ramen shop we think is maybe like Hikari's family's ramen shop that they inherited, to use as a front for, you know, protecting the jar and having all their people, their fighter people around and close by.
Oh, I love that. I'd love
Yeah,
to
me
watch
too.
a whole like prequel rom-com,
Yeah.
supernatural rom-com
I
about
would
like falling in
love to
love.
do a supernatural rom-com. Oh my gosh, it's like everything I want.
That would be
Oh
awesome.
my god. It would be so fun to have a rom-com that just also has fight scenes and
Yes.
wire work and like flips and stuff. Like two characters having an argument and then someone comes in and they have to quickly fight the person and then immediately just resume the argument
Yeah,
as
they
soon
just
as
Right.
keep arguing. That's like my
Exactly.
favorite trope. It's so good.
Yeah, it's When Harry Met Sally through the eyes of Yun Woo-ping, and
Yes.
that would be fantastic. I would watch the shit out of that. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The whole enemies to friends to lovers trajectory is a classic in the fanfic world for a reason.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Indeed. So, in the Teen Wolf movie, your kitsune acts as a suit of armor for your character. If there is ever another movie, and Hikari plays a role in it, is there any other kind of ability you'd like to see your character exhibit?
I would really love to lean into the Foxfire thing because, as we know now, Hikari is the fire kitsune, but I didn't really get to set anything on fire in this movie, and I would have to set things on fire. But I also love the Japanese folklore side of kitsune, where there's this thing about like owing people debts and always repaying a favor. And I think it would be really cool if, you know, maybe there was a situation where somebody saved Hikari's life or, you know, did her a favor, and there's this like ingrained sort of kitsune nature that now she has to pay them back, even if she doesn't like them, even if she doesn't want to be around them. She now owes them her life and needs to, you know, save them in return or do something equally as powerful in return. I think that's always just an interesting thing to play with supernatural creatures who are kind of like bound by these moral contracts. And I think that would be really fun as an actor as well.
That sounds
Yeah,
like
I
a
like that a
lot
lot.
of fun. Yeah, I was just imagining like, you know, like the person who saved your life has come and has pleaded for your help, and you're like, no, I hate you, and they leave, and then it's like your kitsune just kind of comes out of you, and it's like you're having this argument back and forth where the kitsune is like, we gotta go, and you're like, no, and it's kind of like dragging you, you know, y'all are like fighting each other because the kitsune has this sense of duty and all that. Yeah, no, that'd be fun. That would absolutely
It's like trying to
be
lean
fun.
out of the suit of armor, like I
Right,
don't
exactly.
Yeah, like,
try to
oh.
limp noodle it.
Exactly. And then you just cut to Liam and he's watching this like from the other side of the room. He's just like, what is happening?
Just
over
eating
here?
ramen, like,
He's just like,
what are you doing?
exactly.
Plus pyrokinesis.
Plus
So-
pyrokinesis. So yes.
That would be awesome.
Firebending.
Firebending, yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to see happen with Hikari in any future film or spin-off?
I would love to see more of Hikari and Liam, because, you know, like we established a relationship for them, but we didn't get to do a whole lot of what their dynamic would actually be like. And by proxy, would also love to do just Hikari with a lot of the other characters, because, you know, there's so many people in the movie that there are a lot of people I didn't get to interact with a ton. And so I think just like for me, building characters and relationships is one of the most fun parts, and I would love to get a chance to do that.
Fantastic. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
my next question was going to be, were there any characters or actors you wish you could have had more scenes with in the film?
Oh yeah, absolutely. First one that comes to mind is Shelley Hennig, because I feel like Hikari and Malia are kind of two sides of the same coin in a way. I think they're both quite blunt, but Hikari in a very diplomatic way, and Malia in a very lacking social skills way. And Shelley is just such a cool person to work with. And, you know, like I said, we had that stunt that got cut, but we had some cool moments briefly in our characters that I think would have been really cool to build on. Also, Kylan Rambo, would love to do more scenes with him because I just love him as a person. And I think because Mason is Liam's best friend, it would make sense for Mason and Hikari to know each other.
Absolutely.
And then Colton Haynes, because at some point in filming, I decided that Hikari is not a fan of Jackson, and he would be an absolute asshole in some of our scenes. Jackson, not Colton. And I think it's just really fun to play a character who's like so done with the other people in the room.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Love
Yeah.
to see that in another film.
Yeah. Jackson
the
makes that very
interaction.
easy
Yes.
to not like him. He's
Yeah.
that
There's the
dynamic
one
would be
scene
fun.
the one scene in the sheriff's office where he's like, okay, so can we just like kill the Nagitsune? Like, I have claws and fangs. And Hikari is like, you cannot kill it. You can't kill it. You just can't. And that was one of my favorite ones.
Nice.
Just to be so annoyed.
Yes.
Yeah. Her patiently explaining, but maybe without the patiently part.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have a favorite scene to film or a scene that you found particularly challenging to film?
Yeah. My favorite scene to film was the fight scene that Liam and Hikari have against the Oni, which actually wasn't in the original script. I found out partway through filming that was added. And I talked to Jeff and he was like, I don't know if it was Jeff. Somebody told me that they had seen how well Dylan and I worked together and added that scene in so that, we could get into our dynamic more and do some more fun fighting, which I was really grateful for. Especially because I just love fighting. So I liked getting to do all of the sword work in that. But the most challenging scene to film was one of the first scenes, both in the movie and one of the first scenes that we filmed, which is where I run out into the alleyway and get shot and then I fall on the ground and, Adam is picking up the Nagitsune jar and all of that and Liam's dying in the background. But we filmed that at like 2 a.m. in like March in Atlanta. So it was freezing cold. And then all the movie rain, obviously, because I don't know if you guys know this, but when you're filming a rain scene, the droplets have to be way bigger than they are in real life so that they show up on camera. Mm-hmm. So there's like huge drops of movie rain just like bucketing down. And the spot where I fall on the ground was like a little divot. So it was like a little puddle and all the rain was just collecting in that. So as I'm like lying on the ground, crawling, trying to stop him from freeing the Nagitsune, I'm lying in like a 2-inch puddle of water. And then at the end of the scene, when I like collapse in the water, my face is like submerged and I was like holding my breath so I didn't drown in a puddle on the soundstage.
Oh no.
Sound miserable.
Yeah.
But it was like the second scene I filmed and they were like, just go for it. Throw me in the deep end.
Nice. That's the Teen Wolf way. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the Teen Wolf way. But it looked amazing. Russell and Dave shot the shit out of that scene, and it was absolutely just incredible. It just looked incredible, that the whole scene with y'all.
It looked fantastic. And the lighting was so pretty as well.
Yeah.
Russell loves his fake rain.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
If anyone's gonna advocate for rain, it's gonna be Russell. He's like, let's just get a water truck. It's fine. Just get a pump truck. So yeah.
Absolutely. Just throw some in there.
Yep, that's how Russell likes to do it. So would you be interested in returning to the world of Beacon Hills if there were another movie or perhaps a TV spinoff?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I feel like I've just begun to scratch the surface of Hikari and how I fit in Beacon Hills. I would love to get into that more.
Fantastic.
A lot of us on set actually throw ideas back and forth and be like, what would it look like if this character had a spinoff? And what would this show look like? So there's creativity in the air. We're all theorizing.
I heard, we were told by Vince told us that Tyler Posey wrote a draft for a second film.
He did, yeah. That was actually a really fun time too. That was when we were filming the like end scene of the movie, and Tyler rented us an Airbnb that was really close to set. And so I think it was me, Vince, Dylan, and Tyler were all staying at this Airbnb together. Tyler was working on a draft for the second movie, and then Dylan and I were like writing this hypothetical spin-off show, mostly just for the fun of it, I think, just to, really explore. But it was a really fun time because Tyler would be writing and then me and Dylan are writing and we're all sort of reading out scenes to each other and bouncing ideas off. And Tyler read us a scene that would have been a Liam and Hikari scene, and it was really, really fun. And it was also really interesting because he incorporated things into his scene that Dylan and I had talked about in Liam and Hikari's backstory, but had not talked to Tyler about. So he had like the same idea as we did, but we hadn't talked to each other about it all, which is really funny. And I think shows a really great understanding of, everybody's dynamics and everything. It's really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great minds.
Yeah. That sounds incredible. That workspace that you guys were all working on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your dream role?
Oh, I actually do have an answer for this. I don't have to think about this at all. There is a book series that I read growing up called The Lunar Chronicles. And it was the first book series that I had read, or a movie or TV show or anything. The first thing I'd seen where the lead character was a mixed Asian girl. And when I started acting, a big part of the reason for that was because I was like, if this book series ever gets made into a movie, I have to play this character. Like, I need to. So my dream role would be Lynn Cinder from the Lunar Chronicles, because that's kind of been my goal since day one.
Oh,
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Really
Fantastic.
cool
Have
series.
you?
And I think somebody has the rights to it. I don't know who, but there are movie rights out there.
Oh, I'm sure everybody's got the rights to everything. If anything pops up, they're like, "Ooh, original IP." Nom,
I was
nom,
gonna
nom. I
say
gotta eat that
somebody's
now.
gotta send them your headshot or something, so
exactly.
they know.
yeah.
Yeah, there you
And the
go.
author too. I met her once at like an event, so I'm like, you know
Nice.
what?
Very nice. Have you read The Poppy War?
No, what's
By
that?
chance? It's a fantasy series set in a world that's based off Chinese history. And it's about a young woman kind of going to, like, from Rooster Province, kind of like the south of this version of China, Nikon, and she's going to this military academy. It's her rising up through the ranks and all that. It's supposed to be a fantastic series, and I think they're going to do a TV show about it. So you should send your agents an email and be like, "What's going on with the Poppy War? I need to be on that," because it's really good so far. About halfway through the first book, and I love it.
I will definitely look that up. The Poppy War.
Yeah, the Poppy War.
I'm making a note.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, are there any upcoming projects you can tell us about?
Yeah, I've got a couple coming out this year. One of the ones I'm most excited about is called Crown and Blade. It is a medieval low fantasy action romance short film that I did. But it's with, like, it was made almost completely by stunt people and like combat people, so the action scenes are really solid. I personally think the romance is really good as well. I'm a little biased because I am in it and I'm doing the romance, but I like a good romance, and I love a good like medieval low fantasy vibe, so I'm really excited for that. I think that's coming out sometime in March or April. And then I've got a pilot coming out called Asian 8, which is coming out sometime in March. It will be on the Pan Asian Screen Collective website, I believe. It's hosted in New Zealand, so
Okay.
international.
Nice. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, all of that sounds amazing, especially medieval romance, low fantasy, all those words. I'm into all of those words, especially in that particular stew right there. So yes, definitely be checking that out. So that's fantastic. Well, Amy, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you
we've
so
loved
much for
chatting
having
with
me.
you.
So fun.
Yes,
I love spilling all the stories and things I don't get to tell a lot of people.
Well, that's what we're here for, because we love all of
Absolutely.
that, and we love everyone involved with Teen Wolf, a show and now a movie that we all have a great history with and great love for. So it's just always wonderful meeting people who also love it, but who got to work on it, and that's why we have this whole podcast, is because it's something we love very much. So
Oh,
and we hope that there's another installment and we get to see more
fingers
of
crossed.
Hikari.
yes,
hopefully
learn more about her story.
absolutely, especially the rom-com, the Wirework rom-com prequel set in the ramen shop. My God, that would just be incredible. So
set only in the ramen shop. There's one location.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's
a bottle narrative.
It's a bottle narrative, but with wire work and romance.
Yeah.
So fantastic. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And we are very excited for everything you have coming up, and we can't wait to see what is next for you.
Thank you so much. Have a good one,
Thank
guys.
you.
Awesome. You have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.